Moscow was convinced that massing 50,000 troops along the Kursk salient would finally overwhelm Ukrainian positions through sheer numerical superiority. They were wrong. Catastrophically wrong. Instead of drowning Ukraine in bodies and steel, Russian commanders handed their enemy the single greatest proving ground for autonomous killing systems the world has ever seen. In exactly 72 hours, an area of precisely 285 square kilometers in the northern Kursk corridor changed hands, but not in the direction the Kremlin expected. Ukrainian forces pushed Russian units back approximately 110 square miles across a front stretching from Sudzha to the outskirts of Lvov. This was not a minor border adjustment. This was the systematic annihilation of an entire operational grouping, battalions that had been reinforced, resupplied, and repositioned over 4 months of careful preparation. Billions of rubles worth of fortified positions, pre-staged ammunition depots, layered minefields, and communication infrastructure, all rendered meaningless in less than a week. The images you are about to see on your screens will force you to reconsider everything you thought you knew about the balance of power on the Eastern European battlefield. But the territorial shift is not the most disturbing element for Moscow. There are two decisive factors that cracked open the Kursk salient and sent Russian forces into uncontrolled retreat. The first is Ukraine's integrated AI-assisted targeting network, which compressed the kill chain from detection to destruction down to under 90 seconds. The second is the deployment of next-generation swarming drone units operating in coordinated packs of 12 to 16, executing over 9,400 autonomous strike missions per month along the Kursk to Sumy axis. The convergence of these two elements produced a kill rate so devastating that even Pentagon observers described it as a generational leap in battlefield lethality. We will break this down in full. But first, we descend into the frozen hell where it all began, the shattered tree lines north of Sudzha. Phase 1. Ground Assault Breakdown. The footage emerging from the northern front paints modern warfare in its most visceral and unforgiving form. Through a gray winter haze, Ukrainian mechanized columns of the 80th Air Assault Brigade pushed north along two parallel axes. The vehicles are immediately recognizable: upgraded Bradley Heim IFV vehicles and domestically produced Kozak MRAP vehicles, each one encased in a lattice of welded anti-drone caging and fitted with electronic warfare jammers mounted directly onto the turret housings. These are not the same vehicles NATO delivered 18 months ago. They have been reborn, armored Frankensteins adapted to survive in the most drone-saturated battle space in human history. Inside these machines ride operators from the Special Operations Forces Command, soldiers who have spent 2 years refining a doctrine that no military academy on Earth has yet codified. Their advance is not cautious. It is aggressive, relentless, and calibrated to a terrifying precision. The barrel-mounted cameras capture the moment heavy machine gun fire rakes across Russian fighting positions dug into a frozen riverbank. Tracers carve through the pre-dawn darkness. Return fire sputters, disorganized, panicked, ineffective. The armored column does not pause. It accelerates. Within the first 6 hours, Ukrainian forces overran 14 Russian strongpoints along the M38 highway corridor. Staging areas, command posts, forward observation positions. Each one was systematically identified days in advance by reconnaissance drones feeding coordinates directly into a centralized targeting architecture. By the time Russian battalion commanders realized they were being enveloped from 2 directions simultaneously, their fallback positions had already been marked for destruction. ISW's Washington assessment, published 48 hours after the initial breach, confirmed the scale. Ukrainian forces, the report stated, achieved penetration depths of up to 19 kilometers in the western sector of the Kursk salient, severing at least 3 primary supply routes, feeding the Russian 155th Naval Infantry Brigade and elements of the 810th Guards Brigade. The operational effect was immediate and cascading. Russian logistics convoys attempting to reach forward positions were struck by loitering munitions before they could unload. Fuel depots ignited. Ammunition trucks detonated on roads already cratered by precision strikes. Colonel Andriy Beletsky, coordinating combined arms operations from a forward command post, stated the following in a battlefield briefing subsequently confirmed by Ukrainian Defense Intelligence. "We did not attack their lines. We attacked their ability to exist as a coherent fighting force. Every node, including fuel, ammunition, communication, and command, was struck simultaneously. What remained was not an army. It was a collection of isolated men." This statement is not rhetoric. It is a clinical description of what happens when networked warfare meets a hierarchical military structure incapable of adapting in real time. Phase 2. Autonomous systems escalation. But the armored spearhead, as devastating as it was, represented only the visible edge of Ukraine's offensive architecture. Behind the mechanized columns, invisible to conventional observation but omnipresent across the entire operational depth, moved something far more consequential. Something that will be studied in war colleges for the next century. Ukraine's Unmanned Systems Command, designated Unit 15-7 under the direct authority of the General Staff, deployed its largest coordinated autonomous ground operation to date during the Kursk offensive. The operation, internally designated Winter Fang, involved over 340 unmanned ground platforms operating across a 90-kilometer front. We cannot broadcast the complete operational footage under current platform guidelines, but the photographic evidence extracted from battlefield recordings tells a story that defies conventional military logic. In the footage, compact tracked vehicles no larger than a household washing machine traverse snow-covered industrial ruins east of Sudzha. They move in pairs. One carries a sensor package, thermal imaging, acoustic detection arrays, and a laser designator feeding target data back to a centralized AI processing node located kilometers behind the front line. The second carries the payload, either a rack of 4 FPV kamikaze drones or a fragmentation charge designed to detonate within 3 meters of identified personnel concentrations. Russian forces deployed everything in their arsenal to stop these machines. The evidence captured on camera is staggering. In a single 18-minute engagement sequence, no fewer than 6 FPV interceptor drones, 4 mortar rounds, and 2 RPG strikes were directed at a single Ukrainian ground robot traversing an open field. Every single attempt missed or failed to achieve a mission kill. The robot continued. It reached a concealed Russian ammunition cache stored inside a partially collapsed warehouse. The subsequent detonation was visible from 4 kilometers away. Satellite imagery later confirmed the destruction of approximately 1,200 artillery shells and 460 mortar rounds, enough to sustain an entire Russian battalion's fire mission requirements for 3 weeks. And this was one robot, on one day, in one sector. Across the entire Kursk front, these systems executed an average of 314 autonomous missions per day throughout February 2026. That translates to 9,420 missions per month, each one a potential strike, reconnaissance penetration, or logistical disruption event that required zero human presence in the kill zone. The cost asymmetry is breathtaking. A single Ukrainian ground robot cost approximately $18,000 to manufacture. The ammunition depot it destroyed outside Sudzha contained Russian military assets valued at over $14 million. That is a return on investment ratio of nearly 778 to 1. Now consider this from the perspective of the Russian soldier in that trench. You are cold. You have not been rotated in 11 weeks. Your Telegram channels went dark 3 days ago. Your commanding officer has not responded to radio contact since yesterday morning. And somewhere out in that gray frozen expanse, a machine that feels nothing, knows no cold, requires no sleep, carries no fear, is moving toward you with thermal eyes that see through darkness, through smoke, through everything. The psychological architecture of this moment is as lethal as the warhead it carries.